U.S.-China trade turmoil really working its way through markets this morning. Tensions being felt from Wall Street to rural America. Futures are lower on the fears that this unresolved tariff fight rattles investors, and it is here for the long haul. It comes as President Trump prepares to meet with farmers today at the White House. Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin testified before the House Financial Services Committee yesterday. Watch this.
And it relates to China. If we can get a good deal, it will also be very good for the farmers. I think, unfortunately, we were on track for that, and we've gone backwards. The President and Secretary Perdue are looking at various different programs to make sure as we take in tariffs, we can use some of that money to support the farmers.
Joining me right now is Pennsylvania Congressman and House Foreign Affairs Committee member Scott Perry, along with Texas Congressman and House Appropriations Committee member Henry Cuellar. Congressman, it's great to see you both. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning, Maria. It's great to be here.
Good morning.
And to you, both of you gentlemen, thank you. Let's start with China and the trade standoff here. What is it going to take, in your view, to get the Chinese back to the table? Or should we just look at this and say maybe a deal doesn't happen and maybe we're just going to have to come up with Plan B? Congressman Perry.
Well, I think that we're going to have to keep the pressure up. Unfortunately, China has been, in my opinion, in a war, an economic war with the United States for a couple decades now at a minimum. And that we just simply can't let them continue. I mean, people and nobody really liked the tariffs. I don't think the president likes the tariffs, but China has to understand that we cannot continue to give away our economic and intellectual property year after year. And when China steals 300 to 600 billion annually in IP from the United States, it simply cannot continue.
Yeah.
And so something has to be done.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. This seems like an issue, Congressman Cuellar, that both sides agree on. Yes?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I agree with Scott. We have to do something, because if there's any other country out there in the world that takes advantage of the U.S., it is China. As Scott said, intellectual property, they'll go ahead and steal that. As you know, the Russians will do that too. They'll go and cause chaos. China does it for a different reason. They go out to extract information. And the only thing is, I hope we can get this done as soon as possible. Sure. Because, again, I got a lot of ranchers and farmers in my area. They really don't want this bailouts. They want to see markets, because if you lose a contract, it's going to be years before you can get it. So let's put the pressure, let's get it done, and let's get the best deal. And I have a lot of faith in the U.S. Trade Representative. He did a good deal with NAFTA, Mexico and Canada, and I know he's going to do the same thing with China.
So Congressman Cuellar, are you prepared to sign USMCA if it gets to the floor?
Oh, absolutely. I live in Laredo, Texas, small town of about 270,000. Just this month, we surpassed L.A. as being the #1 port in the country. And so imagine most of the trade between the U.S. and Mexico comes through my hometown. So the answer is yes, yes, yes. $1.7 billion trade between the U.S. and Mexico. Now Mexico has surpassed Canada and China as the #1 trading partner with the United States.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear you say that, because, we keep getting this pushback on bringing USMCA to the floor. How many jobs do you think are at stake? I mean, I've heard all different ranges from 100,000 to 500,000 in terms of the USMCA deal. How many jobs do you think it creates?
Well, I will tell you, I don't know, in Henry's district, apparently a lot, but I think the bigger issue, Maria, is half a point GDP all year long, every year, and that's important to every portion of the country,
Sure
whether
is.
it's in Henry's area or whether it's in central Pennsylvania.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's good to see some agreement there, because it looks like we've got some gridlock here on infrastructure. The president,
not with us.
They
not
should
with
have sent
us.
Henry. They should have sent Henry.
Yeah, they should have.
They sent us together. We'll work it out.
That's exactly right.
I mean, it's crazy, isn't it, gentlemen? And the president walks out on Pelosi and Schumer. Now he's ruling out a deal with House Democrats, because on her way into the meeting on infrastructure, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi tells the media that the president is involved in a cover-up. This is something, actually, that I asked White House Chief of Staff Mick Mulvaney last month. It's incredible. We talked about this exact thing. Watch this. Is an infrastructure deal realistic in 2019?
I explained infrastructure as a pipe, and you put money in one end of the pipe, and then asphalted bridges come out the other end of the pipe. Right now, that pipe is 10 years long. And I've told the president several times, Mr. President, it doesn't make a difference how much money you put at this end of the pipe or how you fund it or where it comes from, where it goes. You won't see a single lane of traffic, of road paved before the end of your second term. Do I think there's an interest in doing it? Yes. Do I think there's probably more interest, especially on the Democrats' part, to make a show for trying to get a deal? Yeah. I hope the conversations go well today. I think there's a much better chance of getting USMCA passed than there is of getting infrastructure deal passed.
I mean, you know, the reason is because you can't have an impeachment hearing on a Monday, Congressman Cuellar, and then have an infrastructure conversation on a Tuesday. You know, these investigations, how could they continue to go on and us think that actually you guys are really going to get anything done?
Well, you know, there's certainly different dynamics going on. I can talk about the dynamics between the House and the Senate. I think we can get a lot of things. I sit on the appropriations. We do a lot of things in a bipartisan way. Unfortunately, you know, there are investigations. We saw that under the Obama administration with Secretary Clinton, and it's one of the oversights that Congress has. But I like to focus on what we can do together. And I know we need transportation. We got to make sure we pass the appropriation bill. We need NAFTA done. And there's so many things that I think we can find common ground, and I'm for finding common ground.
Do you think it's the more progressive arm of the party that is sort of bullying the leadership to make sure that they investigate President Trump and make sure to bring up these other things, putting the things that are important to the American people aside? Is that what this is about?
Well, you know, again, I don't want to get into my progressives or the more moderate Democrats, but I will tell you that there are some people that want to move forward with the impeachment. I'm one of those that you got to have the facts, you got to flesh everything out. I don't think we're at that moment, and I right now just want to focus on getting the job done, roll up our sleeves, sit down and work in a bipartisan way with Republican friends, and let's get the job done for the American public.
I think that's what most people would like to see. Let me turn to Iran, because, Congressman Perry, these are some serious issues that we're dealing with, which is all the more reason that, you know, this craziness in terms of fighting is really unnerving for the American people. But the Pentagon reportedly outlined plans to deploy up to 10,000 troops to the Middle East. Congressman Perry, you sit on the Foreign Affairs Committee.
Yes, ma'am.
What is your reaction to this? How serious is the threat from Iran today?
Well, Henry will tell you as well, we all got a briefing on the malign actions of Iran and the actionable, credible intelligence, multi-sourced intelligence that we have. And let's remember this, Maria, the United States is responding to Iran's malign activities, and they've been involved in malign activities against the United States in particular, the West in general, for decades, back to the Marine Corps barracks bombing, Hezbollah, Hamas, and their proxies in Yemen, etc. So the actionable intelligence tells us that we have to be prepared, and we had to send a message to Iran. Do not try this with America under this president, because there are going to be very dire consequences, and so that's what this is about. Again, it's the United States responding. The United States always has military contingency plans continually updated for just this type of events, and so there should be really no surprise about any of this.
All right, we will leave it there. Congressman, good to see you both. Thanks very much. We'll be watching the developments. Congressman Scott Perry and Congressman Henry Cuellar joining us there.